All right, so today we're going to switch it up just a little bit. We're going to be talking about a new trade rumor. Obviously, Larry Markkinen is a thing of the past because he got re-signed to his max deal that he is loving very much, still remaining with the Utah Jazz this upcoming season and for the foreseeable future, so long as things remain the same. With that being said, this one is going to be about Walker Kessler. Now, this trade rumor was reported on by Eric Pinkey of Bleacher Report, and basically he was just detailing the fact that there was a previous conversation earlier on in the offseason regarding a trade to the New York Knicks because obviously they lost Isaiah Hartenstein and they were looking to see what they could do, whether they were keeping Mitchell Robinson, whether they were twisting some things around, if they could keep OG Anunoby, just trying to decide what exactly they wanted to do and if they could get some extra depth at that center spot for pretty cheap because Walker Kessler, again, is still on his rookie deal and it just makes a whole lot of sense. He's pretty solid defensively. Offensively, he needs a whole lot of polish, and after a down year, he should have been on discount, but it takes me back to a conversation that was had last year around a little bit before the trade deadline, I suppose, where many people were saying that the Utah Jazz had very much a lot of pieces that were going to be available at the trade deadline, but there wouldn't be a fire sale. There wouldn't be a guaranteed hit where everybody just goes to the wind. That being said, a lot of people are going to be available. And while the rookies and the young players weren't expected to be the hot sale, they were going to be potentially thrown around and their names in conversations to a certain degree. In the end, we saw what ended up happening, and Walker Kessler is still with the Utah Jazz for now. We also heard that there was an issue or an incident with Will Hardy at some point in the season, and enough people have reported on it for it either to be a really strong rumor or for it to be considered law at this point. But again, coaches and players disagree a lot of the time. It's a sport. Everybody understands. Anybody that's played basketball, anybody that's played it in a competitive setting, even in pickup when it gets really, really serious, you tend to argue with your teammates, you tend to get hot-headed, and you say some things that you may not mean, some things that just really hit home in the moment. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're a bad player or they're a bad person. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, I wouldn't give it too much merit, though it is something to keep in the back of our minds. And the fact that I think that this conversation basically tells us that the rumors are true and he has the ability to be traded, I wouldn't put too much stock into the fact that he actually will. Now, I put an asterisk for that because it's a for now situation. If he comes out this season and he starts laying down the load of bricks that he had last year, he seems to be a little bit struggling more so on the offensive side of the ball. The defensively, obviously, he had the issue with his elbow that kept him out for a little bit, and then he just never really gained his footing from a shooting standpoint. He wasn't very strong going up in the paint. He just seemed very easily moved. And while he was one of the best shot blockers when he was on the floor, he also defensively was a little lead-footed against quicker guards, to be quite honest. In pick and roll situations, he got exploited a little bit. And then on offense, he was just a negative when he was not in the short corner as a threat to attack the basket and just catch a lob, basically. Him cleaning up the glass wasn't the strongest thing. It wasn't terrible, but we didn't see the improvement that we were hoping to see from the previous year. Obviously, his rookie year showed a lot of promise. The sophomore year, kind of a little bit of a slump right there at the same level. So if he comes out the gates and he hits that same stride, or worst case scenario, plays worse, then yes, he will be in a lot of conversations along the lines of your Jordan Clarksons, your John Collins, and maybe Colin Sexton, depending on how many games they win. Now, by my estimation, around the trade deadline, they'll be around maybe 8 to 14-ish wins at best. So I don't think that Colin Sexton will end up being in that conversation. I at least hope he won't be. But nevertheless, Walker Kessler could walk his way into these conversations, pun intended, if things don't go his way. I honestly think that there's not too much to be concerned with. His summer league performance wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible. I think that he needs to show, though, that he has taken that next step forward. He is prepared for what is to come and at least show some attempts at making advancements to his game. He doesn't need to hit corner threes at a very high clip, but he needs to show that he's capable and willing to take them at the very least. Because we saw from Omer year 7, and while he isn't with the team this upcoming season, he did have a decent sample size of threes for the minutes that he played. That said, Walker Kessler did not have the same thing, and a lot of times when he was outside the arc, just left wide, butt naked open. After we heard that he was working on his jumper last year, he didn't take those shots, and he needs to add some level of range to his game and some aggressiveness when he's attacking the glass, finishing at the rim, and if he can manage to do that or at least show sparks of it, he will remain on this team and be a cornerstone pillar for years to come. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. As always, it's your boy Wraith Hoops. As always, good morning, good evening, and good night, no matter where you're on the globe watching. Thanks for tuning in. And let me know if you like the shorter content video format. If not, I can go back up to long. I'm just playing around with it at this point. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.